if life were fair, then when you discovered a secret area hidden in a video game, you would be rewarded with a little treat, like a coupon code for 10% off the sequel. In actual life though, you're much more likely to find the secret area contains nothing but pain, more pain, and maybe some fiddly difficult platforming. If you're good enough to find this place, the game seems to say, then you're good enough to make it through this extra hard trial. And if you're not, then please enjoy having your ass handed to you, and serves you right for snooping around looking for secret areas, jerk. Yeah, way to be, video games. At any rate, contemplate these 7 hard-as-nails secret levels that more or less punished you for finding them, and beware secret area spoilers for the following games.
All people come here for the same reason, to break the curse. You're no different, I should think. Doesn't stand a chance.
The Dark Souls series relishes any opportunity to have an enemy jump out at you from some hidden corner and attempt to run you through. Just call it a surprise death day party. Dark Souls 2 DLC, Crown of the Ivory King, was no exception to that, obviously because the DLC in Souls games is notoriously designed for high-level players. The thing is, this DLC also had a secret optional area called the Frigid Outskirts, which delivered a whole new level of unpleasant jerkassery. In order to reach the Frigid Outskirts, you needed to head to the bonfire in a room called the Expulsion Chamber, which sounds like a real fancy name for a bathroom. Examine the coffin in this chamber, and in a move that's probably ill-advised in a game that's so eager to kill you, you hop in the coffin and ride it down the snowy hill like an out-of-control bobsled. By the time you slide to a halt, you're in the Frigid Outskirts, and something becomes immediately clear: that absolutely nothing is clear. The entire area is blanketed in a storm that only lets up in certain small areas, meaning that for the most part, you're contending with absolute whiteout. This naturally gives Dark Souls 2 the perfect opportunity to surprise you with, say, a giant frozen horse monster that comes charging out of the storm to flatten you. These things endlessly spawn just out of your field of view as well, meaning you can never rest easily knowing you've cleared the area like you usually can in a Souls game. Thanks a freaking bunch, Dark Souls 2! Unfortunately, there's only 2 ways out of this area once you're in it. One is respawning back in the Expulsion Chamber after dying, minus all your souls. The other is to press on through the whiteout, navigate a narrow ice bridge, and then fight 2 giant mangy saber-toothed tigers. Ugh, this is the worst death day ever.
In a game starring a character as cheery and child-friendly as Rayman, you wouldn't necessarily expect the sort of precision platforming that would have you bellowing swear words at the top of your lungs. At least Rayman can't hear. Pretty sure that in addition to arms and legs, he doesn't have ears. Effing and jeffing is almost mandatory though if you attempt to tackle this optional secret level in Rayman Origins called Land of the Livid Dead. An appropriate title given that every time you die, you're going to get a little bit more furious. It all sticks. Look, I'm really trying to keep my language in check here. The Land of the Livid Dead is particularly tricky. You can't take your time because you're forced to keep up the pace to maintain your momentum, and you'll have to pull off some of the trickiest jumps and maneuvers in the game to avoid getting impaled, drowned, or simply falling to your doom. And as is becoming a bit of a running theme in this list, if you do get to the end, there's also a difficult boss fight to polish off as well. At least if you manage that final challenge, you can take out your pent-up frustration on the names of the people who made the game. Not that they learned their lesson, the Land of the Livid Dead made a return as the final musical level in Rayman Legends, accompanied by a bunch of grannies belting out surf rock guitar riffs from a series of flying coffins. Hey, if I'm going to die repeatedly, it might as well be to a banging soundtrack. F yeah. Sorry. PG-13 from here on out, I promise.
Heaven and hell are gonna go straight for each other's throats.
Heaven and hell can tear each other to pieces for all I care. I've got my own problems to worry about.
You can tell Bayonetta is one of those go-getting Type A personalities, constantly striving to achieve her goals and perfect her skills, while I, on the other hand, consider the day a win if I find a forgotten fun-sized Milky Way in the pocket of my bathrobe. Looks exhausting. Only through the lens of Bayonetta's ambitious, high-achieving personality style can we understand her drive to access and beat her game's secret level called Lost Chapter Angel Slayer. Because before Bayonetta can even set one high-heeled foot in this Lost Chapter, she, and therefore you, have to successfully complete all 21 Alfheim challenges, which is plenty. Only by completing these 21 increasingly tricky Alfheim secret rooms does Bayonetta earn the privilege of having everyone and their freaky celestial cousin try to kick her butt in the even secreter Angel Slayer chapter, which, by the way, consists of 51 fights. 51! That's more than plenty. That's plenty plus. Needless to say, these 51 fights get harder as you go. Needful to say, they eventually culminate in a fight against Bayonetta herself. And if there's one thing we've learned about Bayonetta, it's that she hates to lose. Now that really does look exhausting. I want to say you'll be richly rewarded for clearing the Angel Slayer chapter, but I can't, because in fact you're given the unlockable player character Zero, who is ostensibly a demon, but looks like an elderly pirate skeleton stuck in a trash bag, and who is too small to show up properly in cutscenes designed for a 6-foot-something action witch. I'd take the fun-sized Milky Way, given the choice.
Back in the 90s, you couldn't have a games console without a mascot. That was just the rules. But let's be honest, Sony's first attempt, Polygon Man, needed some work. And that work specifically was garbage disposal.
How could this happen? None have beaten me until now.
That's why it's a good job Crash Bandicoot arrived in 1996 and became a huge success for the PlayStation, in spite of no one knowing what the heck a Bandicoot actually was. Still, apparently the character was very nearly called Willy the Wombat. So I think we all dodged a bullet there. Fundamentally, Crash Bandicoot was designed to attract kids to the PlayStation platform. Not making those kids cry is likely the reason we never saw a level called Stormy Ascent in the original game. It was apparently cut before release due to its extreme difficulty. It must have been a late call as well, because the PAL version of the game still has a screenshot from Stormy Ascent on the box. People might have complained about it being left out, but that's only because they hadn't played it. Lucky for us, the level was remastered and reinstated in all its nightmarish glory as a bonus level in the Crash Bandicoot N-Sane trilogy in 2017. Lucky us. What we got was around 5 to 6 solid minutes of abject video gaming misery. Tedious, fiddly platforming, one-hit kills, and multiple opportunities to fall to your death, all with the mostly unchanging backdrop of a grey stone castle wall. And while you're busy toiling away on those disappearing platforms just to get up a few stories of Neo Cortex's castle in Stormy Ascent, look how quickly Crash can climb that same castle when he's on the overworld map. Unbelievable. Polygon Man would never have done this to us.
There's nothing worse than stumbling into a brutally difficult secret area and ending up in way over your head. That's why it's rather refreshing that Metroidvania game Cave Story has a signpost at the beginning of the hidden area called Bloodstained Sanctuary to fully detail the trials and tribulations ahead should you choose to enter. Yep, that about covers it. Bloodstained Sanctuary is an absolute nightmare. Even the very first segment requires you to boost jump down a narrow, spike-riddled corridor, a brutally difficult test of your precision platforming skills, or as Cave Story likes to call it, the warm-up. What follows is a series of areas where you are positively inundated from all sides by enemies, traps, and environmental hazards, all of which you have to negotiate with your weapons busted back down to level 1. Oof, right in the progress. This tricky to access area is extremely tough, but there's a very good reason to put yourself through all this torture, beyond just finely honing your hand-eye coordination. Endure the Bloodstained Sanctuary, battered and bruised, and you'll come up against the game's true final boss, who you'll need to defeat to get the game's proper ending. He's the creator of the game's Cursed Demon Crown, a powerful magic user whose name is pronounced, let's say, Balos. Because it would severely affect the gravitas of this climactic battle if it was pronounced Borlos. Sounds like the world's worst breakfast cereal.
If you are faced with an optional area called the Path of Pain, and you choose to proceed into the area called the Path of Pain despite it being clearly labelled the Path of Pain, then legally speaking you waive your right to complain about how painful it is. Such a path exists as an optional area in Hollow Knight, where it is accessed by breaking through a wall in the White Palace and not turning back, even when warned by the game itself that, to witness secrets sealed, one must endure the harshest punishment. One might argue, therefore, you have been adequately forewarned of how much suffering you're going to endure in the following minutes and probably hours after entering the, once again, Path of Pain. But you know what? I don't even think these fairly explicit warnings can convey exactly how much of a nightmare this sub-area turns out to be, with its sudden and very intense singular focus on platforming rather than combat, which demands wall jumping and aerial movement timed with the precision of a Swiss watch. This extremely demanding gauntlet has more spike-covered surfaces and spinning saw blades than a trap from one of the later Saw movies. And where in a Saw trap you're supposed to prove your will to live, here you are supposed to prove your will to die, over and over and over again. Finding the one safe route through this assault course of death involves doing a lot of moves you understand to be normal components of platforming, like dashing, double jumping and wall jumping, but strung together in an exact split-second sequence that makes a mockery of the imperfection that defines us as fallible, beautiful human beings with hopes and dreams, which are now, it must be said, mostly about escaping the path of pain. All in all, this is a truly punishing level where, if you are skilled and persistent enough to make it through, your final leap lands you smack bang in the middle of a surprise boss fight. Surprise! And that's why they don't call it the Path of Comfortable. That and everything else.
Brink, over here! I can't hold them back much longer.
You alright, Syl? Rest here a while. I'm going ahead to finish the job.
If you're going to imitate an established, successful thing, we've got a bit of advice. Just describe it as an homage. That's how I'm going to get away with my 10-movie automotive heist saga, The Brisk and the Bad-Tempered. Torchlight more than gets away with being an homage to the Diablo series of hack-and-slash RPGs by virtue of the fact that it was made by two of that game's original creators, Max and Eric Schaefer. Still, the influence is plain to see, with its top-down dungeon crawling, clicky mouse button combat, and more monsters than you can shake a mouldy staff at. Which, I mean, is literally what you'll be doing if you pick the Alchemist as your starter class. There are more than just the superficial similarities to Diablo though. There's also a secret level which is a direct reference to one of the Diablo series' own secret levels, a sort of secretception if you will. You're probably already familiar with the gaming legend that is Diablo 2's secret cow level, a bizarre hidden area filled with bovine enemies wielding polearms. That's what Ronald McDonald sees when he closes his eyes. Torchlight's tribute to the secret cow level required a different farmyard animal, which is why we ended up with the secret horse level, accessed by transmuting a bunch of items to enter a sort of equine hellscape. The difference is, these horses are seriously powerful. In fact, they are even stronger and harder to kill than the game's actual final boss, Corrupted Dragon Ordrak, who must be wondering how he got upstaged by an animal that eats using a nose bag. Speaking of horsepower, The Brisk and the Bad-Tempered, in cinemas 2023. Keep an eye out for it.
Those were 7 secret levels that put the hard in I hardly know why I bothered coming here. How many of them have you personally beaten? Go on, treat yourself to a little brag in the comments, you earned it. And then please, consider subscribing to this channel, where there's a video a bit like this one coming out every week. If If you hit the bell icon, you can also have a notification every time we publish one. Wouldn't that be good? Okay, nice work. See you next time.